and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Show here. We got 9 games to talk about on a Tuesday. Big breaking news earlier today. Karl Anthony Towns ruled out for Minnesota. Rudy Gobert is still currently questionable for the Timberwolves here tonight. So we could see the Timberwolves without both of their starting front court pieces against whom, James? Who are the guy that they're going up against on the other side of that matchup here tonight?
The Slender Man.
Yeah.
Slender
Mr.
Man.
Victor Wembanyama is on the other side of that matchup here today. Maybe they're running. Maybe they're hiding. Maybe Gobert and Towns are like, you know what, Chief, we're sitting this one out. Go get him, Nas. Like, enjoy your evening. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe Towns is having like a kid. Maybe, I don't know. It's personal, so we'll see. But yeah, the way Wemby's playing, no one's running at him. That's for sure. No one's going at that dude. So
Yeah.
And it's not even just like the Minnesota. There has been like a ton of news throughout the day. Starting in the morning, Jonathan Isaac was ruled out. Paolo Banchero was at shoot around, so it looks like he'll play. Wiggins was ruled out. Cam Thomas was ruled out. Then the Knicks news came across the wire when Jalen Brunson and Isaiah Hartenstein were both listed questionable. So we'll see who plays for the Knicks. Like, obviously, second leg of a back-to-back, already playing monster minutes. If there's no Brunson, no Hartenstein, like, that's a lot of minutes to be had for somebody. Zion went through shoot around this morning. Looks like he's going to play. Both Detroit starting guards are listed probable in the injury report. Interesting to see Ivy on the injury report. Maybe that's why he didn't close yesterday with the ankle, but like there hasn't really been anything reported on that.
I saw betting Twitter losing their mind over the fact that Ivy didn't play. And the conspiracy theorists out there that I
saw the conspiracy. I'm assuming the one conspiracy post that was insane. That was an insane thread to read. Towns out. And then Denny Abdia was also ruled out. So there's been a boatload of news. Like that, we did not have any news yesterday. I don't think there was like a single piece of news going into yesterday's slate. I don't remember any news going into yesterday's slate, but definitely a different slate today.
Yep. Before we do jump into today's show, I just want to give everybody, we're running now a pick'em contest over on Better Edge. You go to fantasy.com/pick'em or scan the QR code there. You get $10 free entered into your account when you confirm and register over at Better Edge. Download the app there today. Their pick'em contest is a pick 6 for the Thunder game here today. So pick any 6 props, spreads, money line, player props, whatever it is. Whoever has the most correct picks at the end of the day wins the prize pool. I think it's a $3 entry here for tonight. But again, you can basically free roll that today simply by registering and confirming your account. No credit cards needed to do so to sign up and confirm either. So you get $10 free when you enter. Go to fantasy.com/pick'em. We're going to be running these every single day over on Better Edge. And again, scan the QR code there to download the app and get your $10 free. So go ahead, check out Better Edge. You'll be hearing and seeing a lot more of that from us here on this show and over in our Discord and fantasyalarm.com as well. So once again, go check out Better Edge today for all of your NBA pick'em needs that we're going to be running over throughout the rest of the season. James, let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the matchup, talk about our favorite players and positions as we run through this. We appreciate you all in the chat. Justin in there. We got Tommy getting the game, tuning in. What's up, Tommy? We've got Faisal popping into the chat. Welcome, everybody there. If you got any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. We're happy to answer them for you. Get you guys ready for this 9-game main slate. Top matchups overall. What are we looking at for totals and spreads here today, James?
Utah-Atlanta is definitely probably the best game overall. 238.5 implied total, 2.5 point spread in favor of the Atlanta Hawks tonight. So Atlanta, Utah looks like a barn burner. Golden State, Washington's is slate high 244, and that was bet up from 241 where it opened. Washington getting 10.5, that's down half a point, even after the Denny Avdia news. That just speaks to Golden State, where they are. Dallas then we have like some good basketball games. Dallas, Cleveland, 232.5. Kyrie Irving's first game back in Cleveland since 2022, I believe. 232.5, 4.5 point spread in that one. Philly, Boston, 231.5. And then like I know San Antonio, Minnesota is not like a great game overall, like in terms of totals, but obviously things just incredibly more appealing now that Towns is out and potentially no Rudy Gobert.
You take out two of the better defenders than the other, or at least one of the better defenders than the other team. But overall, this game might now become a bit more high scoring, a bit more competitive, and therefore a bit more interesting for the DFS landscape.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert running away with Defensive Player of the Year. Like the odds are not even close. So like you take him off the floor plus Towns, the front court then becomes Kyle Anderson, Naz Reid. Both fine. Yeah. Naz Reid is a very good defender, very good basketball player, but like not Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. So San Antonio, Minnesota obviously became more interesting today when we got the news that Karl-Anthony Towns was not
going to 100%. Let's pop into it. Start off at the point guard position. Again, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat here. Playbook was just updated before we went live to get the player grid out there. Of course, that will be updated as any news comes throughout. We start off at 7 o'clock Eastern time here. Our late night hammer tonight is the 8 p.m. game. No late games on this slate. So we'll know before bed where we're standing with these lineups here, which is good and bad. Point guard position, Luka Doncic, your top price guy at $12K. On the road in Cleveland, we've talked about how good defensively Cleveland has been. They're healthy. They play at a slow pace. Does this matchup at all worry you for Luka and or Kyrie going into this game?
So I got this message this morning from someone I've talked DFS with for a long time, okay? And they said, good morning. Not that you ever need a reason to play Luka, but here's your annual reminder that Slovenians come out for Luka in big numbers in Cleveland.
Okay.
So apparently a big Slovenian population. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. If that's a thing.
I mean, how do you think I responded? How do you think I responded to that? Like
you're not a big narrative guy, so I can't imagine you were too big on that.
No. That's exact. I mean, I have no reason not to play Luka in it. Like he could just go off.
See, were they in Cleveland in their first meeting? They weren't. They were home against Cleveland earlier this year, but he did go for 39 actual in that game. So
he did.
No, I'm not shying away from Luka. He's in the playbook today. He's in the top play core section. I'm perfectly fine. If this is where your spend up's going to be here tonight, if you want to get there, go for it. Knock yourself out. After that, for talking like strictly point guards here, now that Garland's back, I'll include Mitchell as a shooting guard. DeJounte Murray, cover of tonight's live stream show here. Coming off some big time performances now, back-to-back 50+ fantasy points, nearly triple doubling in these ones at home against Utah. This is my favorite game to stack here today. I think a lot of people probably feel that same way. You just starting your plug and play here with DeJounte tonight?
Yeah, the ownership suggests he's going to be, if not the highest rostered player, one of the most rostered players of the night. He's currently number one over on fantasyalarm.com, where you can get all of our ownership projections updated daily. Just updated it as we went live, so that's up to the minute. And DeJounte's popular for a good reason. Utah, John, in the month of February, dead last in defensive rating, and they're 6th in pace. So like dream spot overall for Atlanta. So really hard not to like DeJounte, sans Trae Young, and Yeka and Okongwu.
Yeah, 100% there. And that team in general obviously has some guys that can put up points against a bad team here. So, I toyed with the idea of going DeJounte Murray over points. It was 24.5. He's kind of borderline that, but this would obviously be a potential ceiling game for him. His assist total, I think, is at 8.5 or 9.5 tonight. So they're definitely high on Atlanta getting some points. After that, again, I kind of dumped down into the mid tier. I didn't really have a lot of exposure to the other guys in the 8K range. Do you have interest in a Maxey, Irving, or Lillard here tonight, or Cade coming off big minutes on a back-to-back? Like, where are you with that group?
I would say if I were to get to anyone, I'm not. Also, you should bet, if you're going to bet anything, DeJounte, bet triple-double. See what the odds for a triple-double are. Damian Lillard, 8,600. Charlotte's actually been incredible defensively since they've made their trades. They're number one defensively in the league, John. Thoughts? Grant Williams led defense, number one in the league.
Yeah, sure. Trey Man.
It's obviously
locking down, I guess. Like,
yeah, it's obviously like incredibly small sample, right? Like it's less than, you can count them on two hands. But Overall, Charlotte's still a bad defensive team. Lillard has had no problems with them this year. The peripheral numbers have been great from Dame of late. So, like, if anyone, it'd be Dame. Cade, we talked about on the show last night. It's really hard to ignore the 3-point volume from Cade Cunningham right now when you're talking about the Bulls defense, because that's something that we have harped on over and over and over and hammered over and over and over. Like, they don't defend the 3-point line. But who is Cade Cunningham's primary defender today, John?
Io?
Alex Caruso.
Caruso, true.
My assumption. So will he continue to shoot, make 4+ threes a night? I don't know. That's probably a hard sell, but if he keeps shooting the 3 ball like that, he's gonna obviously have a ceiling. So it would be Lillard and Cade for me in that 8K tier.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. Going down below, I think Kobe White's good here against Detroit at $7,400. I'm still okay going with Darius Garland here at $6,800. Any other guys in the 6K range for you?
Anyone in the 6K range? I mean, like, Bogdanovich is interesting at 63. Point guard, shooting guard eligibility is really good if you want to get there. Nothing really else. I do think the 5K tier is mostly where my interest lies, for sure.
Okay. Where are you going in that 5K range? Obviously, Keontae George is here. Ayo DeSumo's here. 2 guys that you and I are both high up on.
Jordan Poole, 5,800 would be where I would start with no Denny Avdia.
Okay, you're still buying into the recent run of Poole here?
Ooh, Paolo ruled out just now. So
are we going to get that double big start for them again? Nope. We got Carter Steiner and Gary Harris and Caleb Houston in the lineup here tonight.
They went back to the Caleb Houston lineup. Okay. Well, it's an interesting starting lineup.
It is.
That they would do. That is a...
It doesn't feel like a competitive starting lineup, if I had to...
Well, I think it's competitive because that's a really good defensive lineup. And they still have Franz and Suggs. That's a good lineup. It's just like it's very like it's not a sexy lineup at all. I do think Jordan Poole is quite interesting getting back to that, because it's not just Denny out. Koulibaly's also out. Landry Shamet is questionable. Corey Kispert is questionable. Like, Washington could be extremely shorthanded, and Jordan Poole's been coming off the bench these last 2 games. He's obviously responded pretty well. And even if he hasn't, I mean, he's taken 40 shots in the last 2 games. Like, that is not... I know Jordan Poole has had some like high volume shot attempt games, but he wasn't shooting this much regularity in the starting lineup. And now with the second unit to himself, he is. And I think the most important thing of all last game against Cleveland was the 38 minutes. Like, we had not seen that ceiling from Jordan Poole basically all year. This is his first time seeing Draymond Green probably since the trade. So
had a good game against him, as I pointed out the first time too. I mean, 7 of 21 is gross, but did have 25 actual still in that game. Right. So all right. So Poole's a good pivot probably off of some of the chalkier plays down here then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disputing the Io shout. I think Io is a great play. I mean, we've been talking about him for a little bit now. He's been super, super steady.
I feel like he's been the sneaky guy that we've been plugging into our lineups all season long, right? Just like
yeah. I mean, when he's the 4th option on a nightly basis. Now he was the 5th option earlier when Levine was healthy. So it's like now when you're talking about like the Bulls, you're like, okay, there's DeRozan, there's Vooch, and there's Kobe White, but like I was like, yo, hey, look. He
had such a gross usage rate earlier this year when we were kind of like debating him, but obviously the shot attempts that come around, the 3-point shootings coming up. I actually took the over 1.5 threes on Io here tonight against Detroit, who's on the back-to-back, not a great defensive team as it is. So looking to see if he can stay hot from 3-point range tonight for him. But like in the 5,400, again, Keontae George is someone that a lot of many were getting to earlier. The price continues to come up on him. You're looking at this matchup against Atlanta. The minutes are still going to be there. When the shot drops, we get big games. When it doesn't, he doesn't. But the assists have been there, which is nice to see. Been consistently giving you a couple of rebounds. Some of the defensive numbers have been there. Where are you on Keontae George here tonight?
It's fine if you want to get there in tournaments. I'm a little indifferent about it. It's not something that I'm like necessarily prioritizing all that much.
Okay. You going with Dennis Schroeder here at $4,800?
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder is definitely a good play. After ruling out Simmons last night, as we expected, they then ruled out Cam Thomas. So obviously, there's a lot more minutes in the guard room. I'm trying to figure out what we should do with the news that Paolo's out, because like obviously that's massive. And Franz, it's easy to just say Franz.
Sure.
He leads in basically every department that we'd want. I was looking at Jalen Suggs, 21% usage, 0.95 fantasy points per minute. Markelle Fultz leads the team in usage rate when there's no Paolo Banchero on the floor. I know Fultz is coming off the bench. He only played 12 minutes last game, so like you can't really get that. But Cole Anthony has been super, super good in back-to-back games too, $4,700. The minutes, John, we lost out on the Cole Anthony minutes earlier in the year, or just like for a stretch. Cole Anthony's minutes last 4 games, 25, 19, 21, and 30 as of in his last game against Atlanta. Yeah. They need, you just said it. Like you said, that doesn't sound like a competitive starting lineup. Gary Harris and Caleb Houston are Spider-Man memeing at each other. They are 3-and-D players that like aren't high volume shooters. That guy on the screen right now he is a high volume shooter. As you see, when he gets extended, he's also great peripherally.
Yeah.
The Paolo news does make me a little bit more interested in Cole Anthony. On the year, no Cole Anthony, John Isaac, or no Paolo Banchero, excuse me, and Jonathan Isaac. Cole Anthony, 25% usage rate. That's third on the team. Mo Wagner second. And 1.05 fantasy points per minute. Like those are really good numbers.
I agree.
If you need to pivot off of like Dennis Schroeder, because Dennis Schroeder is 25% roster tonight on the second leg of a back-to-back on the opposite side of this matchup, clearly a tougher matchup for Dennis Schroeder. I don't think Cole Anthony is a terrible pivot.
I agree with you. And we talked about it actually during that game when Banchero went out last time, that Anthony could be a nice little move to go there. Shooting guard position. What are your thoughts on the top half? Mitchell, Edwards, if you had to pick one.
Well,
if you had to pick one.
I'm going with the Ant-Man here. I don't really want to pick, but I will lean Edwards a little bit, especially with the Towns news. And things could obviously even look up further for Anthony Edwards if Gobert's ruled out. But just with Karl Anthony Towns off the floor, 36% usage rate, 4 fantasy points per minute for Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
So really hard to like not go in that. You and I were talking about it last night, and you said you like Towns, but we were talking about it with Edwards. Finally, they raised his price. He's gone for 5x at this price in 9 straight games. And now there's no Karl Anthony Towns. All systems go for Anthony Edwards in all formats tonight.
Yeah, 100%. 9K, San Antonio at home, no Towns. He would have probably been a cover of the shows today had the Towns news come out earlier, to be honest with you. So 100% in on agreement with you there. Moving our way down, do you like Ingram tonight at 8K, or do you need McCollum to be out for that to kind of hit for you, knowing what they could be up against here against the Knicks?
I'm indifferent about it. Like I agree with the need. I'd rather have McCollum thing out. Mm-hmm. Like that is definitely a factor, but I'm okay with it. Shooting guard, small forward, 8K is good price.
Okay. Again, more guys down here in this mid tier. DiVincenzo could be interesting if Brunson's out. The shot volume. Now, this is a different Knicks team than it was before. Like they have Burks, they have Bojan, they have actual guys that can shoot the basketball. Unlike what they had in the past when Brunson maybe was out of the lineup, but I still think DiVincenzo would be in for a good amount of shots here. Yeah, you have Vassell, Brandon Miller. We talked last night. We both like the Utah guys in this range. It's Sexton and Clarkson in the 6K spot. With Wiggins out, does that give you any interest in Podziemski, or do you think that's more like a Kuminga boost? Like, what are your thoughts on Golden State now?
Agreed on the Utah front. I'm a little indifferent about the Golden State stuff because Chris Paul is returning, Andrew Wiggins departing. what does Podziemski, does Podziemski still start? I mean, I assume he's still starting. Like that's just not
We'll
gonna
know. We'll know at
change.
least.
Does Clay come back into the starting lineup in this instance? Like Clay's been coming off the bench, right? For the last few games. And that looked like a role that he was just gonna have to adapt to. And then now Wiggins is out. So like I'd like to know like fully. I'm not against getting to like Podziemski or Clay at 57 without Andrew Wiggins or even Kuminga. The minutes for Kuminga have definitely been down since Golden State's gotten healthier and gotten Draymond back and gotten Sarge back. Like the minutes have gone down for Kuminga after that crazy stretch. But I'm okay getting to Podziemski. I'm okay getting to Clay. I I guess my expectation is starting five Golden State: Curry, Podziemski, Thompson, Kuminga, Draymond Green. That would be my guess at starting lineup. And then Chris Paul's
on the Warrior side. We just got Kispert and Wizards. Kispert and Shamet both in tonight. No Denny, as we talked about earlier. So that just kind of a better look at their rotation. Does that change anything for you here?
No, but I was going to talk about Landry Shamet when we got there because he started the last game for them, sans Denny, and he played a lot of minutes. And we'll get there in a few. Mm-hmm. So, but it hasn't changed anything for me on that.
Okay.
Like Jordan Poole and Kuzma and all them.
Sure. Not to gloss over. We like Sexton and Clarkson here in this 6K range. Both of them are perfectly fine plays against Atlanta. I like stacking Utah and Atlanta tonight, so just getting exposure in general to them. You talked Suggs already at point guard. Desuma we've discussed here. Any other shooting guards that we haven't yet talked about that maybe you'd give an extra look to?
Yeah, Quentin Grimes, 41. I like that he closed last night's game, played 24 minutes, scored all 14 of his actual points. Hidden darts. What's up, dude? He scored all 14 of his points in the fourth quarter, which is obviously why he stayed on the floor. But like, he's been at like when he gets run, like he can score the basketball. He can space the floor extremely well.
And if either gets ruled out tonight, I mean, he might start.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Cade probable doesn't mean probable for other teams, right? We've seen that too. So like, there's some things to like about Quentin Grimes. I think Vasilija Micic is interesting. 24 minutes last game. Looked really good in that. He's pretty much looked really good with them now, like splitting time with Trey Mann, where he was on the short end of the split. Now it looks like we're trending more towards a split. Lonnie Walker, 3,900 could be really interesting. Yeah. John, he averages like 18 actual points per game when he sees 20 minutes. When he sees 20 minutes on a night, he averages 18 points per game. Yeah. He is a freaking bucket. Yeah. I think this is a scenario where no Simmons, no Thomas. We don't know if Cam Johnson is limited on the second leg of a back-to-back either. Yeah. Like I think there's a legit scenario Lonnie Walker plays into the 20s.
What's their starting lineup look like tonight? Does he start?
So Schroeder, Bridges, Finney Smith, Claxton, and then it's
Cam J or Lonnie, probably.
It's probably Cam J or Lonnie. Those are my two guesses. Mm-hmm. My guess would be Cam Johnson, and then you have Lonnie as your sixth man, which is not a bad thing. Again, like that's a big time. Also, though, like when you think about what you're losing in Cam Thomas, like do you want the scoring punch that Lonnie Walker provides in your starting lineup? Because that's what you're losing with Cam Thomas. So I guess we'll see. That's also a 7 p.m. game. We'll know. 3,900 is a good price. And where is Shamet? He's 42. I didn't mean to say
he's right above Grimes.
So he played 37 freaking minutes. Like, I know he's 4,200, and that's like a little sketchy when we're talking about Landry Shamet, but they just have a lot of injuries in this like guard and wing room.
And he played well against Cleveland, which is obviously,
he played well against Cleveland. Like no Koulibaly, no Denny Avdia. If he's starting, it would probably be a situation where I need him to start because like then if he's coming off the bench, then I'm like, then I don't know about the minutes. But if he's starting, I feel pretty good about his minutes being secure.
Yep, I'm with you there. Moving on over to small forward here. Again, a lot of guys we've discussed. You have Miles Bridges. Lauri Markkanen's always a favorite of mine at $8,100. You mentioned Franz Wagner with a big bump there. Basically becomes the team when Paolo Banchero isn't on the floor. He'll see a lot of Dorian Finney-Smith here tonight, most likely defensively, which isn't the greatest of matchups. DeRozan at 76. Toby, Miller, Hart is someone you've talked a lot about. Where are you going top half of small forward tonight?
I mean, Tatum's obviously interesting, 98. You could definitely get to him. Markkanen and Bridges are both fine in tournaments if Charlotte can keep that game competitive. We talked about Milwaukee being really bad against the spread all year long. That hasn't changed. Also, Charlotte's been really good against the spread lately, so that could be more competitive than people think it will be. Markkanen, obviously, in playing tournaments, last two games, like, that's the shift away from and I know Walker Kessler played in the Golden State game, but like we see the shift with the Taylor Hendricks lineup for Markkanen. The scoring's up and the assists have been up for Markkanen. The rebounds have been pretty good consistent lately, and that was a little bit of a concern of mine when we were paying 8K like earlier this month. Definitely interested in getting to Markkanen in this spot. I do like Franz quite a bit. I mean, it is a tough matchup, but a team to himself, essentially. We saw it in Atlanta, second leg of a back-to-back. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. 33 minutes, 5 fouls in that game. Lost out on some time due to the blowout nature in that fourth quarter. But 19, 8, and 5 is pretty good line. I expect more. The only thing, again, like, why did the minutes kind of evaporate for Wagner? He came back from that ankle sprain, because if you remember, before the ankle sprain, like, it was like
we had this
36, 38, 39. You're like, holy smokes. Like, we're getting like 40s and 50s like consistently. And that's obviously still on the table, but the minutes have kind of just been, neutered a little bit. Like, it's $7,800. You need, like, I want my guys to play mid to high 30s with like potential to hit 40, but team to himself, bad Brooklyn defense. I'm here for Franz at 78 for
sure. Josh Hart revenge game, $6,700. Playing 44, 42, 42. You and I was talking with you, Allen Iverson, earlier this morning, about how Allen Iverson had in 2001 had just 3 games where he played less than 40 minutes, and actually had like 5 games where he played all 48. I mean, this is basically where you are with Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks at this point. You're playing 40 plus almost on a night-to-night basis here.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt Josh Hart either that we're actually getting scoring out of Josh Hart. Like, he has been such an inconsistent scorer and inconsistent shot maker all year long. I mean, he's shooting 43% on the year, 32% from 3. Those two numbers, 53% over his last 3 games, 47% from 3. We've kind of talked about it, like multiple made threes and 3 straight and 4 or 5 overall. Like, if we're gonna start getting double-digit shot attempts and actual made shots out of Josh Hart, then I think he's a legitimate consideration every night, because 40 minutes, like 4. I mean, he was 4 minutes away in that Philly game from playing the whole game.
And like how many years have we always talked about Josh Hart as always like a good GBP play, because there were nights where the shot just falls and like, the rebounds and the other stats are going to be there. Well, the rebounds have been there for a month now. The other stats have always kind of been there. The steals have been there. But like you said, now if the scoring is going to be consistently there, I mean, he's definitely in a range there where he's paying off $6,700. The Charlotte guys are obviously interesting because Milwaukee can't defend. I know they're big underdogs on the road here tonight, but Miller and Bridges are both up there in that 6 and 8K range. Then a lot of guys we've talked about already. Anybody in the value small forward tier that we haven't yet discussed that you are highlighting tonight?
In the value tier, I mean, obviously, if someone sits for New Orleans, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones at 55 and 54 respectively, they would be very appealing. I think DeAndre Hunter is someone that's worth talking about at 5,300. He's been really good for them off the bench, and I figured he would step back into the starting role. It doesn't matter though. Like, he's been nails. 29 plus fantasy points in 4 straight games. The threes have been nails. The shot attempts have been great. The minutes have been pretty consistent for a guy coming off the bench. The free throws, he's automatic when he gets to the line. So I think DeAndre Hunter stands out in an elite matchup against the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, agreed. Anybody really in Atlanta, I think, with the minutes that are going to be available in that rotation or there. But I was also asking about Kyle Anderson. We were just about to get to him. I mean, 31 minutes the other night. If they're without both their front court guys, he's going to be locked into a big role. And what we talk about Kyle Anderson all the time is he rarely does one thing great, but he does a lot of things well when he gets to playing time. And in DFS, those stats accumulate to fantasy points. So, in a matchup against San Antonio tonight, if he gets you 31, 34 minutes in that range, he could go 35 fantasy points tonight just by giving you 12, 8, 6, 1, 3, right? And give you a boring but very productive stat line there.
It's so true. He's just what he is, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just but no reason to think he doesn't start. Started the other day with Gobert out. So instead, like if Gobert starts or Gobert's in, now just he starts for Towns instead. Like it's an easy lineup shift. So yeah. It's obviously not as free as it was in terms of pricing as it like the other day, but it's definitely a
agreed. And then you have Kispert down here. This one maybe is a bit more appealing. Do you think so now?
Yes.
Gonna play a lot of minutes, I would assume.
Yeah, no Denny. I mean, no Koulibaly? Like, is there a situation where he starts?
I think so.
I think so too. Where it's Jones, Shamet, Kispert, Kuzma, Bagley. Yeah. That's your starting five, right? So,
and I think he's gonna take a lot of shots. Is he gonna hit them? We'll stay tuned. But like
he is a pretty good. I mean, he is a good floor spacer, and he gets hot. He gets hot. Like he's a pretty good basketball player. He just obviously he's on a crappy team and buried on their bench. But I do think there's a very good case to get to.
I mean, he's given us ceiling games in 3 of the last 6, right? 37, 45, and 36 fantasy points in those games. So he can shoot it. It's not
he sure can.
Devin in here with the 100%. Not sure if that's on Kyle Anderson or Corey Kispert. We're happy to have you in the chat here. Anyways, guys, if you haven't already smashed the like button, like Mr. Polocash in here says, do so. If you haven't already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for there either. Get in. We do live shows every day at 5 o'clock Eastern time to get you ready for the DFS slate. We do a preview show we release at night to get you ready for the next day. So we got a lot going on here. And now, of course, before we move on, I want to again just give a quick shout out. Better Edge Pick'em contest we got going on here today. If you sign up, register your account, completely free to do. They throw $10 into your account. You can join tonight's Pick'em contest. We're going to be doing Pick'em contests every single day. This Pick'em contest tonight is for the matchup with the Thunder and the Rockets here this night. You pick 6. Whoever has the most correct answers with their tiebreaker will win the prize pool there tonight. So go scan that QR code or go to fanstorm.com/pick'em. Register and confirm your account. No credit card needed. They'll give you $10 free to enter tonight's $3 pick sticks contest there. So go check out our friends over at Better Edge. Moving on over to power forward here. Giannis at 11.5 gets the matchup against Charlotte. Tatum $9,800. Then a lot of these other guys in the 8K range. Bridges, Zion, Laurie we've talked about. If Zion is in, we've talked about the pricing being low. It is back up on the rise here, but he's been really good. The peripheral numbers which we have begged and pleaded and cried for since he was drafted, we're getting them now. Little teaser, you have the Underdog Pick'em article out over on Fantasy Alarm. Zion Williamson is in that article here tonight, so go check out James's player prop picks there over on Underdog Fantasy for Zion tonight. If he is good to go, though, I mean, this is looking like a pretty good spot once again for Zion tonight.
Yeah, it has been years for us, John. We've been begging for these peripheral stats, and they're coming. And we've talked about it a couple times on the show. It's due to their shift in the way that they're running their team, right? They are using Zion as their point guard. He's their primary ball handler. He's their primary point guard, which, considering what he does, drive to rim and constantly just continue to drive to rim, that is going to be tough on defenses when 3 people collapse on him because of how good he is at getting to the rim, and he has the shooting around him that he has. So I love Zion, everything about what he's been doing for this Pelicans team. 8,300 is a good price tag. We've seen the minutes. We've talked about the minutes lately too. They've been fantastic. 33 plus minutes in 6 straight games. Not something we've ever seen. At least I don't remember seeing that much consistency in terms of minutes for Zion night in, night out. He just recently played a back-to-back as well. Like, everything's really trending upwards. He was at shoot around this morning, so my expectation is he's going to play. I love Zion 83. Honestly, every guy with a long name above 8K, I'm interested in. Like, Giannis here at 11.5, I think is being greatly disrespected. 7% rostership for Giannis Antetokounmpo tonight. He's gone for 59 fantasy points in 3 straight, 4 of his last 5. Gets the Charlotte matchup. I know Charlotte's been good defensively, but since the trades, but
I was going to ask you what your thoughts are, because they've just tortured Charlotte this year, which has limited Giannis to 25 minutes a night in the 2 games against them.
I mean, different team for Charlotte. As long as if this game is competitive at all, Giannis goes for 60 tonight, and he's at 7% ownership. And John, Victor Wembanyama is 2% projected tonight, and I know that's because when you're factoring in ownership, like, Rudy Gobert is not ruled out, right? So they're factoring in Rudy Gobert being in. It's like, oh man, can't get to. Why can we not get to Wemby?
He just went for 73 against Anthony Davis.
Dude, he doesn't need to. As we've seen recently with this stretch of blocks, like, I know the scoring has been there as well. But, like, even in the game against Sacramento, where you basically get absolute, like, floor scoring for Wemby these days, he has 5 blocks and steals and 13 rebounds and gets you 63 fantasy points. Like, even in that scenario where he is like 8 for 21 from the floor, he goes for 63. And you said it on last night's show perfectly. Why is he not 10K yet? Like, I know he's basically there. We can round.
He's gone over 50 fantasy points in 2 of the 3 games against them this year. So it's not as if even Gobert being there has really stumbled him too much. He had 1 bad game at home against them, or on the road rather, against Minnesota. 32 minutes. He still had a double-double, 12 and 10. He had no threes, and he was 4 of 13 from the floor, but over 50 the other 2 games. He's 9,900, so over 5x return on the price there. I'm with you on Wemby. And then if you give me no Gobert, no Towns, I mean, the man's got 3 straight games with 5 blocks. He has a 10 block game in there. He's got a back-to-back 10 plus block and steal games. Just elite upside for tournaments, and no one's getting there tonight. So,
John, interesting lineup note. Okay. Remember we were speculating the Warrior starting lineup?
Moses Moody, huh? Who's out there?
Moses Moody. Yeah. Moses Moody, Moses Moody, Mas Perk. It's Moses Moody.
Moses Moody. We do that inside joke all the time, and I bet our audience has no idea what we're talking about.
No idea. Absolutely no idea. Shout out Kendrick Perkins. Yeah. Moses Moody starting. I don't think that moves the needle, but he is 3K.
I was going to say, you probably have to consider him as a play tonight. You're going to min-price starter against Wizards. So
min-price starter against Wizards, and we know what happens if min-price starter versus Wizards.
Night 1.
Well, like, also min-price starter versus Wizards that plays blowouts as well. Right? Like, he'll be, if the game blows. I'm not predicting blowout. I'm just saying.
He can also be a very early sub that never sees the floor again.
Yes, we've also there's been a lot of those scenarios. The other night, Jordan Nwora. 2 times ago, Nikola Jovic on the second leg of the back-to-back, where he played 14 minutes after going 37 for 38 from the field the night before. So that's the risk you take when you play a.
You don't have the starting lineup though, right? You only have Moody in.
So, well, I assume so. It's probably Curry, Pajemski, Moody, Green, Kuminga. Sure. That would be my guess.
Okay. Guys under 8K here. A lot of names. The Vucevic one was the stunner for us last night, having power forward eligibility now. I do like Vucevic there, but you got Jalen Johnson, Vucevic, Porzingis, who I'm also a fan of here tonight. Kuzma at 74, Mobley I like at 71, and then if the Knicks are without everybody, Achua is going to play 45 minutes and could get you 18 rebounds tonight.
Yeah, the 7K tier is very appealing. Jalen Johnson, 7,900, coming off really good games since the break. 3 straight double-doubles before and after the break. Really great matchup. The minutes have been amazing for Jalen Johnson. 38, 37, 39 minutes in all 3 of his last games. Vuk has been amazing. All but one of his last 10 games have basically resulted in 40 fantasy points with a 60-point ceiling. Detroit is a ceiling spot. Porzingis is just a freak of nature for any matchup. Doesn't matter. Just depends if Boston keeps or Philly can keep it competitive. Obviously, that's blanket statement against going into Boston. They 8 straight games where they just look better than everyone by like substantial margins. So that's the worry. Obviously, using Philly in general. I think Kuzma is very appealing at 7,400. It is not a good spot. Golden State with Draymond Green has been a good defensive team, but like, dude, Washington's down 2 starters. Kuzma coming off a game where he played 39 minutes. 2 of the last 3, he's taken 24 plus shots, and he's settled into this like mid to low 7K price tag. We've seen a 60-point ceiling essentially like multiple times this year. We have seen a high 40s a lot out of Kyle Kuzma. I'm interested in Kuzma at 74. Mobley at 71 is fine. I feel
like I'm always a little bit higher on Mobley than you are. And I know the minutes are what kind of keeps you a bit from fully releasing on Mobley here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great spot. Like, it's a great spot. There's obvious appeal. I'm not gonna like sit here and say that he doesn't have a ceiling at the price because
we just got it.
We just got it. We've got it throughout the limit too. Like he almost went for 50 in 24 minutes. Like I'm not disputing it, but it's just one of those things where if like Hartenstein's out, right, and Precious Achua is an option, and he's starting at 7. Now I don't know what they're gonna do. They fully split Jericho Sims and Hartenstein last night. Sims played 20 minutes at center. Hartenstein played 28. Achua played all of his minutes at power forward. So like, will Precious be the backup center in a scenario that Jericho Sims starts? Probably.
So I can see that happening, and then like Bojan just takes most of Sims' minutes at the power forward, right?
Right. And that so like that is like a likely scenario. And then the 34 minutes you got out of Precious, that's 40, like you said, like that's 40 minutes. So like in that scenario, I'm not sitting, and in this, I'm using a guy that I don't necessarily like. I'm not like a Precious fan, but if you're going to give me 40 minutes from a guy with like a lot of people on his team hurt, I'm probably going to pick that guy over Mobley if he's playing 29 minutes. Again, not going to sit here and say Evan Mobley doesn't have the higher ceiling, and he's a significantly better basketball player. Like defensive player of the year for the next however many years candidate versus Precious Achua. When team is healthy, he is backup center, right? Like that. I'm not
playing when the team was healthy.
Not disputing, but like given circumstances, like if Hartenstein's ruled out, Precious has a 40-minute. There's like 40 minutes up for grabs there for him. So
the Mobley thing too. We sometimes overstate the potential for foul trouble with guys. But I mean, Dallas they're facing Dallas with 2 guys that drive to the lane a lot. I mean, Irving and DeLuca attack the rim. Allen Mobley could be, on their heels a bit in this game, collecting some fouls, trying to defend the rim. So something to think about there. I like Kuminga. John Collins is one of my favorite plays down here as well. Bojan, as I mentioned, I think should be in for some bigger opportunities here tonight. If guys end up being ruled out, he's already playing a decent role off their bench and can score. But if guys are out tonight, then I think he sees 30 plus. Naz Reid going to be popular tonight at $5,700, especially if Gobert gets ruled out again. Where else are we looking at power forward tonight?
Yeah, Naz would be the priority for me of all the guys you mentioned. Nothing really stands out. I mean, you can go into the value tier. If Cam Johnson is starting, he played 25 minutes last night. I don't think you need to go there. I think instead of Cam Johnson, like you could just play Finney Smith for $800 cheaper. And Finney Smith's been a better fantasy producer, 25 and 30 minutes. I was not surprised to see Taylor Hendricks' rostership earlier this morning check in the way it was. It is definitely dropped, and that's primarily due to a lot of names being ruled out. But Taylor Hendricks is there 4,100, still getting about 11% rostership. We had a question. I think Mo Wagner is here. We had a question from IC3U, Mo Wagner tonight. I do think that's a little bit interesting. Like, would I have liked to see more than 13 minutes out of a game that John Isaac got hurt 2 minutes into and Paolo didn't play? Probably. What do you think the scenario is for the center room tonight? Because we don't have Goga starting, right?
No.
So what is Goga? So like, what? Orlando's just like so weird with their rotations. Is Goga the backup center now that he's not starting? Is now Wagner just like back to, all right, well.
The thing is, we won't know. So you'll have to just throw a dart on Mo Wagner, and he's not 3K or 3,500. He's 4,300, right? So,
like, there's a ceiling. There's obviously a ceiling, and I see through you. You're a multi-lineup player, right? So, like, I don't hate the idea of getting to Mo Wagner in 5 to 10% of my lines, but like, it's hard to, especially how good Goga was, to go from like that starting to just not playing to then they're like actually double big, and then like now he's not starting again. What does that mean for Wagner and Goga respectively? Like, is now Goga just out of the rotation again? Now that, but there's no Isaac, right? Who knows? But 5 to 10%, I think, is something I'd be comfortable with.
Yeah, and we've gone back and forth with Wagner as well here with his minutes too, and like, you can play him because he's playing 20 off the bench, and he plays 6, and you're like, damn it. All right, let's go. Did we talk Dorian Finney-Smith already? Down here, Hendricks.
Yeah.
Okay. Center position. Again, Wemby's here. Don't need to talk about him. I like Vucevic. I like Porzingis. Draymond, we've talked about. Like, is there any centers that weren't power forward eligible that we talked about yet that you're at least looking at tonight?
There's Bagley? Nothing that really stands out before we get to Marvin Bagley. Yeah, I mean, the minutes were great last game. Obviously, lost out on minutes in OKC and Denver due to blowouts, but 24 fantasy points in 17 minutes, 41 fantasy points in 21 minutes in those two games. 1 point and 1 rebound away from a double-double against the Twin Towers of Cleveland, too. Mm-hmm. Like, Golden State is not that. They play a short front court, obviously, with Kuminga and Draymond. They are using every center they have on their roster nightly. Like, Saric, Looney, Jackson Davis, all playing. Like, like, can we figure it out? Like, one of those guys has to, 2 of them have to come out of the rotation. Like, why are we playing so many guys every night? But I do like Marvin Bagley with a shorthanded Washington team. We've talked about it since he's kind of come. Like, he's been a good fantasy producer. Like,
here we go. Jalen Brunson out. Isaiah Hartenstein out.
Oh my God.
So okay. Knicks.
All right. Tonight. So let's talk Knicks. Let's just circle back. We'll just talk Knicks. Expectation for point guard, McBride or Burks?
I mean, I could see it being McBride, but Burks probably still plays a good amount off the bench.
Expectation for starting 5.
McBride, DiVincenzo, Hart, Bojan, and Achua.
Okay. I think I would.
You think Sims still?
I think Sims starts next to Precious. I'm not saying that is like a priority of mine, because I would not play Jericho Sims.
No,
really,
because I don't think he's on the court very long. I still think that Bojan plays a lot tonight.
Yeah, I think like the lineup that you suggested, and maybe to an extent we even see Burks over like
McBride.
Burks over McBride to close.
Yeah,
I think is like the minutes mostly gravitate to all those guys. Like where Bojan is closing over Sims. Like, Sims played 39 minutes in the game prior to the All-Star break against Orlando. I don't know who was even active in that game. Let's popcorn machine. I think the Knicks, that was the game they had like 8 active bodies. I mean, Sims playing 39 minutes. He had 21 fantasy points at $4,000. Like that, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys, and Taj Gibson was one of them. And Charlie Brown and Jacob Toppin were 3 of them.
Yeah,
So
the only reason I could see them playing the Sims lineup is just to match size. Because if you move Precious to the 5, Bojan versus Zion is good luck to them.
That's what I think too. I think you're right, and which is why I think.
I guess you shift Hart to cover Zion, but that's not slightly better.
No.
Size wise, it's still a big disadvantage. So
I think they go majority like the starting lineup. I'm 4 of the 5. I'm pretty convinced that it's honestly all 5. I think it's McBride, DiVincenzo, Hart, Achua, and Sims.
If Burke starts, he's probably one of my favorite values on the board.
Agreed. He was terrible in that Orlando game that he started, and he was super popular in. I'm not going to hold that against him. Just saying, and more so, he played 30 minutes and took 16 shots in that game.
Yeah,
he just didn't make any. Just finishing on the Knicks, like, where's your intrigue in general? Like, of all the Knicks, like, is there like tier 1 plays? Like Josh Hart, probably for me, is probably still the best play of the night.
It's him or DiVincenzo. I think DiVincenzo's going to take like 25 shots.
Yeah, he probably has to. Yeah, he's been good at the Garden too. He had the Garden bumping a couple of those like big games.
The problem is like the Pelicans are now just. I mean, they were already better. They're just way better.
Way better. Especially if McCall. I mean, Zion went their shoot around, right? So we assume he's in.
Like, who does Herb now guard? Is Herb on DiVincenzo in this game? Like, that?
Yeah, it's probably
right?
Yeah.
Like,
salute DDB. Good luck.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know where the Knicks.
This is the Herb Jones, dude. This is the Herb Jones spotlight game in the Garden. Like, he's just gonna be running around like a psycho now that like he doesn't have to guard Brunson. He's just gonna be like everywhere. Yeah. Knicks fans are gonna be like, who in the world is that dude running around the floor?
7:30 start. Hopefully we get that news ahead of time here though. So, all right, let's get a lineup built for the people here. I got to go on Sirius XM. Bender and Bowden here. Talk some NBA DFS and betting plays here tonight. So let's get a lineup out. How are we building with the Knicks news that just came across? Are we including Burks, Bojan, Achua, Hart? Anybody for you?
Probably Hart. I still think Hart's probably the primary target, and the McBride would probably be if he's starting. McBride's probably the other one. It's just like if McBride is starting, I feel good about his minutes.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I know Burks is there, but I still feel good about his minutes. Like they're just going to play an extremely short rotation. He's played 30 plus minutes 3, 4, 5, 6 times this year, and in all of but one, he's had 25 plus fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
I think Anthony Edwards and DeJounte probably like my. I don't know about you. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm good with both. Let's see what we can do to fit some value here.
If you need to play Naz Reid at center, you
can. Yeah. Would you do Hendricks at 41 or Lonnie Walker at 39?
Kispert at 45 too.
Kispert at 45. I like that. Let's go Kispert. If we didn't, let's go Walker here.
You could do Kispert at power forward and play Naz at center.
Sure.
And get Lonnie Walker into your forward spot. Oh, that works too.
All right. Not terrible. Outside of I guess probably this swap, right? Because you like your guards and all those things down here.
It is just an 8 p.m. roster lock, so
not too far. All right, so DeJounte Murray, Ayo Dosunmu, Josh Hart, Naz Reid, Marvin Bagley, Lonnie Walker, Corey Kispert, Anthony Edwards. Example lineup for everybody here tonight. Again, big news. I'll be updating that playbook momentarily with all the latest news for all of you, so check that out. Get with us over at Fantasy Alarm if you haven't done so already. The Prince ownership, I mean, obviously this news just came through, so we got to wait for our provider to update the Knicks, and then we'll get the latest ownership out for you here. Not something that unfortunately we control, but hopefully they will be with it, within a half hour roster lock, I would imagine is usually their last run. So as you know, we post it in the Discord when it's updated. So don't worry, be sure to check those out there. If you're not already in our Discord, I don't know what you're waiting for. Sign up, become a member of Fantasy Farm. Go to fantasyfarm.com/win. Our fantasy baseball draft guide is out. The fantasy baseball cheat sheet just launched as well, so you can go check that out if you haven't already become a member of the Fantasy Farm family. You get that free with your subscription, or you can buy those individually. And then one last time, we are running our pick'em contest over on Better Edge tonight. Pick 6 for the Rockets Thunder. Scan the QR code. Go to fantasyfarm.com/pick'em. If you just sign up and confirm your account, no credit card needed, they give you $10 free to enter tonight's contest. So check it out. Go join Better Edge today. We'll be doing weekly and daily contests with them moving forward. James and I will be back tomorrow. Get us in the Discord. Find us on Twitter. Good luck, everybody, tonight. We'll talk to you later.